We're building a business. We are constantly thinking outside the box to provide unique investment structures for our clients, right? We are constantly working to create opportunities, and I think that builds confidence in itself.
We recognize genius wherever it exists. And if you're known by the company you keep, we are proud to not only spotlight the women that are part of Rockefeller Capital Management's unique network, but also welcome our brilliant audience members.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Esposito, head of Rockefeller's Enterprise Client Coverage Group, and welcome back to Genius Loves Company. Everyone has a story to tell, and we're excited to hear those from some of Rockefeller's top private advisors, investors, and senior leaders about the life and career experiences that got them here and the insights and perspectives they've gained. With me today is Sam Cooper, Managing Director and Head of Distribution at Rockefeller Capital Management. Sam is responsible for the distribution of both alternative and traditional products across the Rockefeller Global Family Office platform and works closely with our private advisors and, of course, their clients. Sam, I'm so happy to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Laura. Sitting here today just seems a bit surreal to me. There have been so many amazing women who have been in this seat. So I am beyond honored and excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, we can't wait to hear your story, just as we've heard all of theirs. We've been working together now for about a year and a quarter. It feels longer than that in a lot of ways. But in many ways, I'm just personally so excited to have this opportunity to just get to know you a little bit better. I'm so excited to be able to pull out of you today what your journey has looked like and to have everybody get to know you and better understand where you're coming from. We always start at the beginning, perhaps obviously, but we want to go back. I want to look back at your childhood, Sam. First of all, where are you from? Where did you grow up? And were you always drawn to a career in finance? And we want to better understand how your family, if or how they played a role in shaping where you are today.
Sure.
Those are some big questions.
Yes, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I grew up in New Jersey. I had both my parents and my two brothers. So we were a family of 5.
Where were you birth order-wise?
I am number 1. I'm the oldest.
Of course you are. I knew
led
it.
the pack.
I knew it. Okay. Yep.
And we grew up in a very active, competitive family dynamic. We were always running to a sport, playing a game, going to a practice.
What were your sports?
I played field hockey and softball, but my brothers were big wrestlers.
Oh boy.
Football, baseball, you name it. And it was all who won more.
They were in it.
It was all who won more, who could do more.
I
so
love
very
this.
Competitive.
Who was the most competitive
dynamic
amongst the three of you?
Oh, definitely my middle brother. To this day, hands down.
Fascinating.
Hands down.
I would have guessed you. I would have guessed eldest child.
He's got this angle that neither I nor my youngest could just keep up with. So we were always doing something, whether it be sports or working. We had just a very active lifestyle.
What kind of work?
So way back when,
yes,
my first job, Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin'
Donuts. Time to make the donuts. Yes. My father would wake me up very early in the morning, warm up the car, and I would be there, yes, bright and early, around 5 or 5:30 before open at 6.
How old were you?
Probably 14 or 15, right? When
you could
get your
working papers?
The minute those working papers could be signed, I was there. Those pink papers, they were signed by at school parents, and I was off to the races trying to make some money.
And were you working while you were in school?
I was, yes.
Oh my goodness!
So Saturday mornings, I was, up bright and early.
And then you probably had to go to some practice or a game immediately thereafter?
Right thereafter in the afternoon, yeah.
Okay, super competitive family, the 5 of you, you're working, you're playing sports. How is that, as you kind of look forward to your career and how it's evolved, how did that contribute to shaping your path?
Our parents played an instrumental part in our lives, right? They really supported the 3 of us in anything we wanted to do, whether it be play a new sport, try to get a job. We were fortunate to have 2 parents who were very supportive, but we also had an extended family who was supportive. So I had aunts and uncles, grandparents. They were always cheering me on.
At the games.
By the sidelines, yelling.
Ordering their coffee. It's 6 a.m.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, even down to trying to figure out what college I wanted to go to. In my first job, they were just very, very supportive. We were very fortunate, really, to have that.
Did your parents both work? Were either of them in our industry at all?
They did both work. None of them were on Wall Street.
No.
I did not come from a Wall Street background.
Yeah,
My dad worked at a family-owned company for 48 years before he retired. Yeah.
Wow.
My mom was an administrative assistant, so always worked, but was also there for us. So had a nice balance.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. It was really nice. They supported us in everything that we did, but they also held us accountable.
Yeah.
And so very early on, they instilled in us, like, I'm supportive of you doing it, but then you've got to give it 100%. So there was no trying a new sport and then quitting halfway through. There was no, I don't want to go to practice. It was like, you're going to practice. You're going to be early.
We've committed to this.
If you're on time, you're late. Yes, we've committed to it. And so very early on, they've created that structure and that foundation, which was really a big part of my overall growth.
Yeah. I mean, it's so apparent in how I perceive you in the workplace. Just the discipline, doing everything 120% always, that commitment to excellence. See, this is why I like to get to know people, because you can see the through line.
I think sports and structure really help build a foundation. I don't think kids today realize how much sports impacts your go forward sort of future and that foundation. It really just builds such a solid foundation and ability to work with people and interact with different personalities, take structure, criticism.
Yeah, oh my God, feedback. I mean, it's so true. There are just a myriad of life lessons and skills that come out of competitive sports. But I completely agree about the competitive sports of how it really sets you up for massive success. And I see it in you. All right. So, Sam, what's your earliest memory of money? And what's some of the best financial advice you've ever received? Because I think, like me, you didn't grow up with any attachment to Wall Street per se, but tell us about that kind of early memory of money.
Yes, so I'm definitely going to date myself here. My earliest memory of money comes with the Christmas Club savings account that my mom used to deposit weekly. And I remember it had a booklet that every week she would tear off, like a deposit slip, and we would go to the bank weekly and deposit. I mean, I don't know, it might have been $20 or $30.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was like so neat that she was saving, but I didn't realize that the savings was actually going towards Santa Claus until I got older. But anyway, that's my first memory of just putting money away for something that you're planning for.
I love that she enjoined you guys in that, right?
Yeah.
Like took the time to kind of
We
explain.
wanted the tickets after. I don't even know what we use them for, but I just remember getting to rip it off and then getting the end of that stub at the end. It was like something that I look forward to.
Okay, so then when you started your 6 a.m. Dunkin' Donuts job, were you committed to saving then too?
So I didn't join the Christmas Club, but I definitely did start saving, and I would track what I was saving. And if I had something I was saving for, we all bought our own automobiles when we were 17. That was one of the things my parents said. We will pay for college educations, but cars, that's on you. And so I did. Dunkin' Donuts dollars went to my first car.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's extraordinary. So you set that goal.
Set that goal. And then if I had to borrow any money from my family or my mom for that, I would deduct. And I had a balance sheet that maybe I borrowed $1,000. And every week that I got my Dunkin' Donuts paycheck, I would deduct it from what I, paid back on my loan for my parents. So
I can only imagine the feeling of when you've got behind the wheel of your own car that you paid for. So how did you decide to go to Clemson? Why leave Jersey?
So I was the oldest, so that was a tough decision.
Yeah.
Leaving, the full house of my two brothers and my two parents. But I knew I wanted to go somewhere down south.
Okay.
I wasn't exactly sure where. Weather.
Yeah, I know. So we're going to get back to that, how you've ended up back here. But
gosh, it's tough. Although down there, I think recently they've had some cold weather themselves.
Some snow.
Yes. And I visited a number of schools, and I really just fell in love with the campus and the environment.
Yeah.
The athletic program.
Yeah.
It just, I
did
felt
you
like
know
it was the
people
home
that were
for
going?
me. I did know a couple of older people, friends of friends, no direct, good friends.
So you were pretty independent then.
Yeah, at the
is
time,
what I'm gathering.
I didn't really know anybody that was there.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took the leap. And it was definitely worth it. I had a great 4 years. And ironically, my two brothers sort of followed me down south because one was at Virginia Tech after me a year later, and then one was at Duke University. So we were all somewhat close.
That's so nice. Yeah. That is so nice. Okay, so you go down south, you get out of the winters of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. What do you decide to study in? Did you have any idea what you were going to do 4 years post-graduation life?
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Even going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Did you declare a major right away?
When I applied, I was not in the major that I had wanted to pursue. I knew that. I just kind of picked something and hope I got in.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh, I did that. 100%. Yeah.
I don't know. Nobody kind of knows this major. I'm going to apply for that, and then I'll see what I want to do. And I sort of did that, and it worked. I ended up getting in, and then I realized, okay, I need to figure out like some direction.
Yeah.
I'm starting classes in 6 months. Do I really want to be a textiles management major or whatever I ended up picking to
whatever that is?
And then I ended up choosing marketing as a major, not because I wanted to go into marketing as a field, but I truly felt that everything is marketed. You market yourself when you're presenting to somebody.
Yeah.
Products are marketed, services are marketed. And I really felt like it was an avenue that would give me flexibility to find out what it was I wanted to do.
Yeah. I, too, decided to be a marketing major, but I could not have articulated it the way you just did. So what did that mean for you when you get to senior year? It was so different.
It's so
then.
different.
They didn't require the same level of competitive internships that today's college students, Lord help them, have to kind of endure.
It was so different, Laura. I mean, I had no finance experience.
No, yeah.
I had no foot in the door because my parents had not worked out on Wall Street. I didn't really know anybody who worked on Wall Street. And I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, yeah. So how did you answer that question?
I just started interviewing. I mean, I was taking, I was looking at the paper for job openings. I was, meeting what at the time, headhunters that would reach out to you, knowing you just graduated from college. And I was just going out interviewing.
Industry.
I had even interviewed for a marketing role at a minor league hockey team, and I thought that was interesting. But unfortunately, it didn't cover the cost of my train ticket to commute in, so that wasn't going to work. And I came across a role, which was at Payne Weber.
Okay.
It was an administrative assistant role.
Yeah.
I remember the interview like it was yesterday. I interviewed with a gentleman named Richard Jaffe, and he picked me to be his administrative assistant. And I took the job for a number of reasons. One, he covered retail, stores like Abercrombie and The Gap. So and I thought, I have no idea what equity research is, but I know Abercrombie.
I know these stores?
I know that.
Yes.
And so I thought, well, I could learn.
And maybe my marketing major could
and
come
marketing, Abercrombie. I could figure out this equity research thing. So I took the job. He was supportive of me continuing my education and getting my licenses, which I also liked. And he said, look, if you can do the core job responsibilities, I'll continue to teach you.
So he was a sell-side research analyst covering these retailwiles.
Yes,
these
at the time I had no idea what sell-side research was.
Right.
But again, I knew Abercrombie.
That is wild. I think place is so important, and maybe I'm just projecting, because to me, like you, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew since I was a little kid, despite not knowing Manhattan at all, I wanted to live in New York City. So place has kind of always anchored me. But here you go down south, you're from Jersey. Was it always like, I'm going to go back and live in New York City? Was place an important kind of compass to you, or no?
So full disclosure, I've never lived in New York City.
Okay.
Even after having a 25-year career in New York City, I am still not a New Yorker. But I mentioned that extended family, and I did have an uncle who was a really big part of my life. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But he did work in New York City.
Okay.
He had done sales for a number of different companies, as far as I can remember. One of them was RCA, so that was a name that many of you may know. I'm dating myself again.
Yes.
And he actually sort of started my interest in just coming to the city.
Yeah,
he just brought me to the city during the holidays, and we'd come see the Rockefeller tree. Ironically, 30 years later, had I known that I was going to be, working right outside of it, that was a big, surprise. But, really through him, I thought, wow, this is interesting. This would be a fun place to work.
Okay.
But I enjoy the city. I enjoy working here. You know, it's definitely been my workplace.
So
and I
was
think
the
a lot
Payne
of that
Weber job in the city?
It was.
So you're at Payne Weber, you're in equity research. What happens? How long are you there for? Where do you go from there?
Yeah, so I was there for about 2 years.
Okay.
I learned a lot, had a great experience, but quickly realized I didn't think equity research was a longer term career path that would interest me. I had laid a good foundation. You know, I really felt like I needed something that engaged with people and clients more.
Okay.
As an equity research junior analyst, I didn't really have that opportunity. I was learning a lot about balance sheets and
again, like
company
great
performance.
foundation, right?
Absolutely great foundation.
The technical elements of...
But I needed more client engagement.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how I was going to get that.
Yeah.
But I decided to just start meeting with firms and talking to people. I did a lot of just diligencing, understanding what else was available.
But you know what's pretty amazing to me? So clearly you are such a self-starter because here you are, right? So what are you, probably 24 years old? Like 23, 24?
Probably 23.
Was someone giving you kind of advice of build a network and here's how you do it? Here are things that you should go diligence or research? Or was that really just innate? And you did it on your own?
I just kind of did it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really have somebody who had been in the same type of seat as I had. And I just tried to figure it out. And I felt like if I meet with a lot of people and ask a lot of questions, I could learn. And that's kind of what I did. So
you would just kind of cold reach out to people? For the younger listeners, this is pre-LinkedIn.
This is pre-LinkedIn.
This is like pre-email in some instances.
It is. Definitely pre-iPhone.
Pre-iPhone,
and, you know, even just getting to places at that point in time.
Oh my God,
like,
forget it.
I didn't have Google Maps. It's like me wandering around the city at that point, trying to find offices that I had set up meetings with.
And would you just be cold calling these people?
A lot of times, we had just access to headhunter names that like I had a colleague who had said, oh, I got my job here using this, and I would call them. I mean, it was as simple as that. Like I think about the world we live in today and I'm like, oh my gosh, it would have been so much easier. Too many options almost today.
You're right. There is something to be said for that.
But I met with a lot of people, learned about roles, learned about different types of the business.
Yeah.
And I ended up coming across an opportunity at Morgan Stanley.
Okay. Not in equity research.
Not in equity research. Ironically, in private equity Asia. It was in New York.
Right.
It was working with a team in Asia. I met with this person from HR at Morgan Stanley.
Yeah.
And they just talked about growth and opportunity, kind of career path. And it intrigued me. But then I had to meet with my potential boss. And at the time, I remember walking in, and it was for another administrative assistant role.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't moving up on the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
Like I was.
They weren't hiring you in as investment professional number 5.
Oh, no. This is like total lateral move. And actually, Pratt said, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I think I spoke for, 5 or 10 minutes. And he stopped me and he said, I just have to tell you, you're way overqualified for this role. But I want you.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have you. And if you can do your core job responsibilities, I'll teach you more and I'll let you do more. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what you connected with.
It was opportunity.
Yeah.
It wasn't a step or two up at all on the corporate ladder.
No.
It was just, okay, let me slide over and find a career that maybe I can just build and learn in an asset or an industry that is interesting.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
And at that point, I didn't even know what private equity was.
But most people didn't. But
they talked about client relations and investor relations and IR, and I'm like, yes. That was
you were speaking my language.
Yeah, exactly.
So how long did you do that for?
Well, I worked at Morgan Stanley for 21 years, so that was the start of a 21-year career.
Okay, you had a good run.
It was a very, very good run. I was given loads of opportunity. I continued to learn and take on more. I mean, the business, as you can imagine, from an alternatives perspective,
and
private equity perspective, had
you
grown.
Were so early, too.
It was so early.
Yeah.
But that allowed me to do everything.
Yes, I'm sure.
It was so small that I could get involved in operations, investor relations, product structuring. Yeah. On the investment side,
you
had
saw
exposure to everything.
Aspects.
Yes. And so that business, obviously, over the last 20 years has grown so much.
Oh my gosh.
And I felt like I got in at a place that was such a good foundation because I was able to get exposure to everything. But to date myself, I was actually stuffing envelopes at one point with people's capital calls and drawdown and mailing them out hard copy. So it was quite a long time ago.
Yeah. But this explains now as I think about the position that you're in and the time that you spend nationwide, countrywide with our private advisors and with their clients, particularly in and around alternatives. You were in the perfect role for someone who had the exposure you had to all elements of that business. Of course, this is why you are absolutely brilliant at your job. 21 years at Morgan Stanley. Talk to us about some of the other paths you took.
I had a number of managers and been a part of a number of groups throughout that time, you know, and have had some really amazing mentors and advocates, which has really created the opportunity, which has been just fabulous to really build that foundation for 21 years of growth.
Yeah.
I guess it was around 2013 when Ed Moriarty came to Morgan Stanley, who's the COO of Rockefeller Capital Management. And he came in to really build the merchant bank and real estate investing group. And at the time, our client base was predominantly only institutional clients. We didn't have any limited partners who were wealth clients. It wasn't even an avenue that we explored.
Right.
But Ed had a bigger vision. And Ed saw that as an opportunity. Came in, we sat down and he said, I really want you to build a team that starts to get exposure to our Morgan Stanley wealth platform of clients.
This is in 2013.
And frankly, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work under Ed and build a team that was able to tap into that market for the first time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So really, really exciting opportunity. And being there early really allowed us to establish that foundation.
Yeah. So exciting. Okay. So 21 years, and it sounds like things are going exceptionally well. Why the move to Rockefeller?
Rockefeller has really allowed me to bring that 21 plus year career history all together, right? And this opportunity for growth here we have at this firm is just tremendous.
Yeah.
But it's small enough that we're just getting started, right? And so to see an opportunity where I can take both the institutional knowledge that I had and the wealth knowledge and be able to bring it together at the platform that we have here at Rockefeller is just, you know, something I couldn't pass up and was super excited to take on.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to me, look, this was your role as head of distribution. It was a totally new role within our investment client solutions business. Was that daunting to you? What gave you the confidence to say, you know what, I got this?
Yeah, you know what? A little bit, but it also, like, I saw opportunity. You know, I saw that we were so early in really building out this platform that it allowed me to create the foundation that we really needed to grow right here. And so, you know, I've really spent the last year doing that and getting to know all the advisors, all of our managers. I mean, I think, you know, and Greg says this right from the top, that horizontal connectivity here at Rockefeller is true, right? So, you know, working hand in glove with the senior professionals across all of the businesses here, you know, it's hard to explain the power of that. And then taking that and building a distribution platform with all of those resources. I mean, it's just been such an amazing experience.
Where does your confidence come from?
I love what I do, you know, and I love what I do so much that I think I just have constant energy and excitement around it. That maybe that, you know, portrays
That's
confidence. And a lot of it is still trial and error, right? We're building a business. You know, we are constantly thinking outside the box to provide unique investment structures for our clients, right? We are constantly working to create opportunities. And so a lot of it is trial and error. And
so
I think having that opportunity to try and to, you know, maybe tweak is just exciting. And I think that builds confidence in itself.
It absolutely does. In that trial and error, I'm sure, I'll use the word, I'm confident that there are times where you're not going to get it right. We're not going to get it right every time. How do you approach times of failure, which are inevitable?
Yeah, look, I think it's a matter of just your mindset, right? And what you're willing to put on yourself as far as pressure, and what you're willing to just take sort of one step at a time and make progress, right? And so I think if you feel overwhelmed, that stress and those mistakes feel worse.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you just take a step back and you think, okay, I can figure this out. Maybe the first path wasn't the right path, but let's pivot. Right.
Yeah.
And let's just back up 2 steps. We don't have to back up all the way.
Yeah.
Let's back up 2 steps and let's maybe pivot a little bit and change the course of action. And if you think of that situation by situation, it will seem more manageable, right?
Yes,
and if it will seem less like a mistake and more like a learning experience.
Right.
And so I think I just try to break things down in that mindset of, okay, let's not freak out. Let's not be negative. Let's continue sort of thinking on the course of action that we need to execute on, and just back up 2 steps and move forward 4, just in a different direction.
Oh, that's such good advice. But it's funny because one of our colleagues in the asset management business has always stayed with me. He'll always say, maybe it's a crude metaphor, but he'll say, well, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time, right? So
absolutely true. I may take that.
All right, I always have to ask, I'm always curious, have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Definitely. Lots of times.
Hesitation, though. I don't know if you have.
So I've been listening. I am a podcast listener because now New Jersey Transit has transitioned to me driving in and out of the city. So I listen to podcasts a lot. So I've been listening to a couple of podcasts by Mel Robbins.
Yes.
And she's a really interesting set that talks about confidence in general. And I think the podcast is called The Toolkit for Building Unstoppable Confidence. And she actually talks about imposter syndrome in that podcast, and I could relate. She talks about confidence, and she talks about confidence in a way that I had never thought about it, but I think I could relate to. And that's confidence really being the ability and willingness to just try, right? Yeah. And so if you're willing to try, you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, and then you're willing to learn. And I feel like, and she says this in her podcast, the imposter syndrome is a good thing because you're taking yourself and you're stepping out of your comfort zone, right? And you're trying.
It's a growth opportunity.
And you're growing and you're building, confidence in a way that, trial and error allows you to.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, I have had imposter syndrome, but I feel like that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I'm going to embrace it too.
Good.
We should all be going to listen to that Mel Robbins podcast.
Yes, she's very
I'm familiar with her, the recent Let Them theory, which I listened to prepare myself for dysfunctional holiday season with families.
That's actually a very good episode too. She has a number of episodes
to Mel
on
Robbins.
that.
Thank you for helping me survive
I think
holidays.
She actually just did a book on the Let Them theory too, which I'll have to read.
But confidence is the willingness to try. That's beautiful. So a couple more things I want to get through, but given your seat at Rockefeller, what excites you most about our firm and the future of our industry? Gosh, another big question.
Oh my gosh, this is a big one. The firm has so much opportunity here for growth from senior leadership all the way down. We have some truly amazing, individuals at this firm. Every one of them has a can-do attitude, and that allows us to really do some fun things and create unique opportunities for our clients. And so, having the best and the brightest from Wall Street all together at this firm, it's just so exciting, the things that we're able to do for our clients that are truly, truly unique, bespoke, things that they would just never see anywhere else. So I'm really, really excited about the opportunity there, the investment landscaping can just continue to evolve and us to be able to continue to do that for clients.
Well, we're so fortunate to have you in the seat you're in, delivering, communicating, messaging, all these really unique, differentiated investment opportunities to our clients. So thank you. You're such an important part of the continued growth and evolution story at Rockefeller Capital Management. So we're so lucky to have you. Let's reflect on the extensive career journey you've had, Sam. What insights or advice would you offer to young professionals who are just beginning their careers?
Okay, so maybe two pieces of advice that I think really resonate with me, and I think you'll hear often from me if I'm talking to some people who are just getting started. One of them is don't be afraid of change. I think change happens so often in our industry, whether it be a manager leaving, a business getting reorganized. I mean, I couldn't count on two hands how many managers I had in my 21-year career. Wow. Change is inevitable, but with every change came opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I think, just don't be afraid of change, embrace it.
Yeah, like lean into it.
Lean in.
It's easier to say than
especially
do.
as a junior, junior person coming in and just getting started, and your boss leaves and you think, oh my God, my career is over.
Right.
And I know because I felt that way when my first manager left. I thought, oh my God, am I going to have to find another job?
What happens to me?
And that created and has created and will create for many just opportunities. So
I think that's great advice.
That's one. And then let's go back to the Mel Robbins thing. I think, my advice would be confident and be willing to try and take yourself outside of that comfort zone because that's how you grow.
Yeah, it doesn't be confident. Doesn't mean you're always going to be successful, right? That's
not
the
at
whole
all.
Point. But it's like
absolutely. Yeah. And even if you're not, you learn.
Yes.
Right? And then the next time you do it differently.
Yeah.
And then you continue to grow, right?
I know. And so the learning should be, that's a gift. It's a gift. It has to happen, right?
Yeah. Not doing something perfectly is actually not a fail. It's a learning experience that allows you to make yourself better.
I love that. Okay. How old are your children again?
So my son is 13 and my daughter is 15.
Okay. Are they interested in your career? Do they know what you do? Do you talk about work with them?
I do now. They are at such fun ages that they actually are intrigued by what I do.
Ooh.
I don't know if they necessarily know what I do, but they know that I work in finance and they know that I work on Wall Street. And I think they are intrigued. And, I think they also see that I, balance and juggle being a working mom.
Yeah.
But that I can do both, and they know I love my career. And it makes me a better mom, frankly, that I have a career.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I hope that, I'm kind of leading by example for them. And I already see my daughter who's taking her electives and she's picking finance. And
is she really?
She did pick marketing. And I was like, that's good. And I explained, my rationale that I know you're going to use now around my choice in majors. I am seeing them, start to be intrigued by what I do.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're a phenomenal role model for them. As a working mother in this field, what's been the most rewarding aspect? And maybe it's that you really feel like it's made you a better mom. I don't want to put words in your mouth. And how do you at least aspire to get some balance between your family life and your career?
Yeah, so it's funny. I think around the time I was about to go into college and choose a major, I was talking to a friend and we're talking about majors, and it's a conversation I won't forget because I probably was 18 and I said, well, I don't know what major I want to be. And they were like, well, it doesn't really matter because you want to be a mom. So if you're going to be a mom, it doesn't matter. You won't have a career too. And I thought, okay, that's wrong. Right. Now it's on because I am.
Bring it.
And
I'll show you.
I knew from that point, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to figure this out.
Right.
And so I love being a mom. My kids are amazing.
Yeah.
Being a mom has been an amazing experience for me. I love watching my kids grow, but I love my career.
Yeah.
And I love continuing to grow in my career and continuing to learn like personally and professionally. So I think, combining those two and being a working mom, that's my favorite title, has really allowed just the opportunity to do everything that I love to do. And balance is a tough word, right? But I think it goes back to a little bit about what we were saying before. Well, no, but it goes back to what we were saying before when you feel overwhelmed or if you failed at something like pressure and how do you handle it? I think you take one day at a time. One day at a time. One thing at a time. And you kind of figure it out and you realize that anything is manageable.
Yeah.
And that stress that maybe you viewed as stress, maybe is kind of a blessing. And the challenges that you have or that you're stressed over maybe are more blessings and challenges. And you kind of reset your mind.
Like a guru right now. I love this. Yes, I love
You reset your mind and you take one thing at a time and you figure it out.
I love it. So how do you continue to stay active? You strike me as somebody who's very active.
Okay.
What do you do?
I grew up in an active household that has never died, right? Like my brothers and I continue to this day to compete on who ran more in the morning, who did what exercise. And so I just grew up in that environment and fitting in health and exercise exercise was always a priority for me and my family. I find time very, very early in the morning, to be honest. I start my day.
Dunkin' Donuts years.
So the Dunkin' Donuts experience prepared me for the time of day when I was going to need to fit in exercise. So I'm up very early in the morning.
What time do you get up to run in the morning?
Around 4 a.m. And I'm usually, after my workout, on the road with my dogs by 4:45 or 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so early mornings.
So something I didn't know about Sam, I've learned that you've fostered nearly 200 dogs. How did you guys, were you a dog family growing up?
So let me level set this.
Okay.
I never had a dog growing up. Despite my best efforts of trying to convince my mom and my brothers all being in, my mom never caved. And so I sort of blame her for my craziness of rescue and all of the dogs that have come through my home. But no, I didn't grow up with a dog. I realized, though, very quickly as an adult, I always wanted a dog that my mom had said I could never have. And so I did some research and I saw, you could buy a dog or you could adopt a dog. And I thought, well, isn't that the same thing? I don't know. Either way, I'm getting the dog.
Right.
I ended up rescuing a dog off a farm that was a beagle mix many years ago, and then doing more work around just like the effort around saving dogs and really the need for dogs, especially down south and in some of the areas down there in Georgia and South Carolina. Just the need for these dogs to find homes that, have been through such tough lives. So I did a bunch of research there and I realized, oh my God, I need to start helping. How? And, it was time to maybe get a partner for my little beagle mix that I had, Dexter. And as I set out to do
200.
It started with one. I went to the shelter and I quickly realized, oh my gosh, all these dogs need homes.
I know. I can't even go in.
Crazy.
I can't even go in because I would walk out with, 20 dogs.
Well, that's the problem. I actually went in with the intention I saw on this rescue website, this cute little fluffy puppy. And I'm like, I'll just go adopt that. And then I ended up leaving with a crazy 10-month-old terrier that was scared of its own shadow because I could not leave that dog in that shelter. Right. And then subsequent to that, I have a very, very dear friend who runs a rescue called Hounds and Pounds, which is an amazing organization. Yes. And so she really helped me get involved in fostering. And really, I'm just a short stint in the journey for these dogs. But so they're pulled from the south. They are vetted. And your
kids into it too?
Oh my God. My kids are
They
obsessed.
would have to be.
It was hard in the beginning because they did not want those dogs to leave. But I could not end up with 200 dogs.
I always say my second career would be animal rescue of some way, shape, or form, or like a rescue farm.
I'm right there with you, so give me a call.
That's right. Yeah. We'll all start looking for the land in New Jersey.
Perfect. I'll put my friend in, Kat. She'll be happy to help.
So as we come to a close, one of our favorite questions that we ask of all of our guests, I probably already know the answer now, but Sam, where can we find you at 10 a.m.? You'll have been up for multiple hours already by 10 a.m. So you might be having dinner by that time. I don't know.
Laura, it definitely depends on the season, okay? But you're right. Despite what season it is, I'm already up. I definitely have worked out and run with my dogs and probably have 2 coffees in. If it's winter, I'm definitely at a basketball game already with my son and headed to probably another one. Also, maybe trying to figure out how to get my daughter to volleyball practice and softball practice. So I have multi-sport athletes at home as well. If it's spring, I am absolutely at a baseball or softball game with probably 4 or 5 more to go throughout that day. And if it happens to be maybe early August, there's a small chance that we have an open window and we are all down at the beach with my family at the pool. So it depends really on the season, but that gives you a sense of, generally speaking, where I am.
This has been such a pleasure, Sam. You have such a rich, full life, and you have enriched our organization over your nearly year and a half being with us. So I'm so excited to see what the future holds for you. But thank you so much for sharing your story.
Laura, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you for listening to Genius Loves Company. To To learn more about Rockefeller Capital Management, visit rockco.com or keep up with us on LinkedIn or Instagram. This material was prepared by Rockefeller Capital Management. The views expressed of the hosts and guests in this episode are as of a particular point in time and are subject to change without notice. The views expressed by the speakers are solely their own and may differ from or conflict with those of other divisions in Rockefeller Capital Management. This information was provided for illustrative and educational purposes only. It should not be construed as an investment recommendation, investment advice, an offer of Rockefeller investment advisory or brokerage services, or a projection or illustration of the performance of any particular investment or strategy offered by Rockefeller. Forward-looking statements, including those presented herein, are inherently uncertain, as future events may differ materially from those reflected, and past performance is not a guarantee of future performance.